Hey everybody, it's Andrew Martin, the Spiritual Rebel, coming to you with another video on July 28th on this beautiful sunny day here in Seattle. It's actually kind of cool. It's like mid 70s, my favorite weather. If it was just like sunny and 75 degrees year round with maybe a few days of rain here and there, I would be happy as a pig in shit. I hope that wherever you are happy and healthy and smiling. And confession time. True confession, real talk, offering up the clarity of my own experience, offering up the lessons that I learned via my own choices and my own life, offering up the truth as clearly and as unapologetically as I can is kind of the foundation of what I do. I made a lot of fucking mistakes in my life. I've made a lot of choices that took me to the left when I probably should have gone right, and vice versa. It's all for the good. It all ends up being, for my benefit, and everything that is happening is for our benefit. And yet there are times when my own ego and my stubbornness and my unwillingness to heed my own intuitive guidance, I end up kind of painting myself into a fucking tight corner. And that's where I currently find myself. I just added up my debt and I owe $15,952.62. I know that for many of you, we struggle with money. I know that for a lot of us, we have issues with money. I know that for a lot of you, $15,000 in debt would be a fucking walk in the park, and that you would gladly trade my amount of debt for your amount of debt. But when I reported last year to the IRS what I reported for my income in my first full year of being self-employed, I reported $23,000 of income last year. That is how much I made. And so taking that into consideration against my debt, I've got about $8,000 left to live on if we're looking at my balance sheet. And so today I have a call with a guy at 12 o'clock in just about 45 minutes to discuss my options. Bankruptcy or debt consolidation are my two options that I'm interested in looking at and seeing which one is best. Because, I'm also open to a bag of money falling on my head. But it hasn't happened yet. So until such time as the bag of money falls from the heavens and baby Jeebus decides to, throw $20,000 at me, it's time to get real. It's time for me to get serious about my financial situation. And I mean, I can't, honestly, to be completely honest with you, actually adding up that amount wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I mean, this past week, up until today, I've known that I've had this meeting. I scheduled this meeting last week and I've known it was coming. And I haven't been willing to take the time to sit down and add up the total amount that I owed because it felt too scary. I mean, it was like I could barely breathe and I wanted to fucking poop my pants out of anxiety. And I would have these moments where I would just be triggered and my anxiety would just spike. And, which is another great example of the fact that the shit in our lives that we are, often come to the point where we just can't ignore it anymore. It's the anticipation of dealing with it and the fear of dealing with it is almost always greater than actually dealing with it, because the thing that we fail to factor in is when we get to the point of actually dealing with it, that is a step in the direction of reclaiming our power. So even though it feels scary, when we finally do it, we're coming at it from an empowered place. And I could end this message right here and just say, hey, whatever it is in your life that you don't want to deal with, I just started down the path of dealing with what I don't want to deal with. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm here to tell you through my own experience that actually finally adding up those numbers was more relieving than anything else, because now I actually have a very clear picture of what I owe in terms of debt. And this is a combination of credit card debt and some money that I owe the IRS because, I filed my taxes, but, having $12,000 of credit card debt didn't allow me to pay the $3,000 of taxes that I owed. So I could end that here, but this is not the point of the message. It is sort of a sub point. The big point of this message is, and the main reason that I'm recording this message for you today is to talk about this window of energy that we are in currently. I've been talking about this for a while, and if you follow any other spiritual, material, blog posts, videos, whatever, you will see everyone's kind of pointing us in the direction of this window of energy that started on June 21st and is culminating around September 27th as a very powerful window. Now, I'm not going to necessarily get into the whole topic of ascension. I already have another video planned for that. So we'll talk about that on another video in terms of what does ascension mean, where are we going, where are we headed. But what I do want to talk about is this window of opportunity that we are in. It started on June 21st with the solstice. Then there was another eclipse that happened somewhere. Honestly, I can't keep track of all of it. I should have written it all down before recording this video, but there was that, and then we had Venus going into retrograde, and then we had this Lionsgate portal, which just opened up and culminates on August 8th. Then also July 22nd, just a couple of days ago, was the reset of the Galactic New Year. Then there's the full moon coming up this Friday, which is the blue moon. It's the second full moon in this month, which also has a lot of significance if you look into like Mayan tradition and a lot of other traditions. I think there's also like a Hebrew tradition, sort of talking about what this second full moon means. And then we have the final blood moon solar eclipse that's coming up in September, which is sort of the culmination of all of this. And whatever it is that you read, whatever it is that you see, whatever it is that you choose to believe, my biggest wish for you, and I'm not one to generally tell you what to do or what to believe, but no matter what you do or what you believe or what you read, do not go into fear. Fear is the last thing that we need to be activating and nurturing and feeding. So if you're reading something and it triggers fear in you, stop reading it and find a way to sort of come to peace with it and really understand it. A lot of what we speak of in energy, in sort of spiritual circles, especially older traditions or older writings or older prophecies, it's metaphoric, right? So a lot of even what's in biblical and religious texts, it's a metaphor. It's not actually going to physically happen that way. They're speaking in metaphors, because it's the same thing for me. When I'm doing a reading, a lot of times I get a metaphor or I get an idea of something, because that is the most powerful way for us to communicate something that has never been experienced or is coming from the non-physical, right? As a human, we need a metaphoric equivalent of this energetic thing that's happening. So the point of all of this that's going on right now in this window, we are seeing great unrest and chaos and disillusion and things falling apart. And it seems like, shit is just hitting the fan left and right, because we are in a window right now of clearing and releasing and transforming anything in our own lives, in the collective lives, in the global lives, in the political arena, in the business arena, in every single arena of our lives individually and collectively. Right now, there is a great purge. And these energies that are happening right now are all about anything that is not in alignment with your truth, anything that is not in alignment with your integrity of who you are now or who you feel you are being drawn to become or being called to become, anything that is not about unity, anything that is not about equality and inclusion and embracing the entirety of the human race, as all of us deserving to have a voice and to be respected and to be able to speak up and to have an arena where we can feel safe and feel included and feel like we have, as an equal playing field, and the shot that we have is equal to the shot that everyone has. It's like saying, everybody gets their turn at bat and nobody is favored over another. We all are being called to remove anything that prevents us from moving in that direction. And so what it means for me personally, and what I know that it means for a lot of us, is that we are being called to build some very solid, very sturdy, very powerful foundations. Because what's coming for us is the success, the fulfillment of dreams, of things we've been working on, of manifestations that we've been focusing on, all of the work that we have been doing, especially since 2012 when this big shift occurred, has been leading us up to this point to believe and to understand that the things that we have really been looking for and dreaming of and working towards are coming. They're coming. The train's coming. Whether you're ready for it or not, the train is coming. And so what that means is right now we are being called to re-examine everything in our lives, and anything that is not in support of what is coming to us is asking to be released, is asking to be unraveled, is asking to be rebuilt or completely destroyed altogether. What that means for me is the success that I have been working so hard towards for the past 2.5 years especially, but really since 2012 specifically. The success that I have been working towards of building this business and building my empire and really finding a way to reach as many people as I possibly can and also make a good living at it so that I don't have to worry about these debt things anymore in the way that I do now, is I am being called to re-examine everything and to build a foundation now that can support the success that is coming in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is honest, in a way that is true, and in a way that allows me to move forward doing this work and not have to worry about these issues. So what that means for me is getting really real with my financial situation, because the success that is coming to me and the kind of explosion that I'm going to see in my career over the next 6 to 9 months especially is going to require a level of financial responsibility and insight and sort of a financial savviness that I currently do not have. Because in the past, I have always wanted to just sort of ignore the financial situation and kind of sweep it to the side. So that means I got to get real about how much I make, how much I owe, and what am I going to do about it? Because it's not going to magically disappear. Santa Claus, is not going to show up one day on my doorstep with, a bag full of $20,000 and say, here, your problems are solved. Now, he very well may show up. In my attempt to understand and to take responsibility for my financial issues, a solution very well may present itself through my willingness to dig into my shit that will seem to be miraculous. However, I am not counting on that, because this is about taking responsibility and building a foundation that is impeccable. When you are building a foundation for anything, you cannot be flexible. There is no room for error. 90 degrees has got to be 90 degrees, and 45 degrees has to be 45 degrees, and it needs to be sturdy, it needs to be solid, and it needs to be built upon an open-eyed, open-hearted, realistic approach to, if this is what I want, then this is what is required for me at this point so that I can sustain what I want once it shows up. I'm also being called to do this with my relationships. I am really at this point where I am ready for a divine partnership. I am ready for that union, that unification of a heart-to-heart relationship with the man that I know is out there for me. But in order for me to build a foundation in my life, in my own relationship to love, and my own understanding of what I do in a relationship and how I relate to another through the lens of the heart and the heart connection, I've got to get really, really clear on what I think and what I believe and what I feel and what my preconceived ideas or expectations are to relationships and what I deserve and what I'm worthy of and my own level of love, my own internal relationship with myself and the sacredness of my heart space and how much do I value that and what am I willing to do in my own inner work to excavate and to get into those dark corners and look at the stuff that I don't really want to look at. But in order for me to sustain the kind of relationship that I am looking for and that I know exists and I can sense it, it is right around the corner for me. The big business and the big relationship are right around the corner for me. I can feel it. I can taste it. But once it shows up, if I haven't done the work required of me to do to prepare my foundation to be impeccable in my understanding of my own relationship with men and money, then there is no way I can sustain the stuff that is on its way to me. And this is the thing, the stuff is coming. The momentum that I have been building and that you have been building and that we have been building is irreversible. It cannot be stopped. The train is fucking coming, y'all. The train is about ready to pull into the station. And what is the integrity of the station, the platform, the track? What is the integrity of that? Is it going to come barreling in and all of a sudden the tracks and the train station and the train stop and all that is going to come falling down around it because we weren't being very honest and truthful and full of integrity in alignment to what it is that we had built? Are we going to cut corners? Are we going to say, no, I don't have to deal with that. I can just brush it aside for, it's fine. No, Now is not the time to pull any of that shit. Now is the time to trust yourself implicitly, to understand that you know what it is that you are being called to do. You know the things that you haven't been wanting to deal with, what they are. You know the things that have been sort of poking you and gently nudging you, and now it's starting to get a little more intense and a little bit more difficult to ignore, that it's time for you to take a look at these things. And you know what I'm talking about. As I say these words to you, the things that are popping up into your mind, the things that you are being triggered by even thinking about, that is where your work lies. Because trust me, you would much rather do it now than do it when the train is pulling into the station and all of a sudden you see shit starting to fall apart around you because you didn't do the work that you knew you needed to do. And now you got to try and stop the train. You got to try and sustain the success and the bigness while you're also trying to build and rebuild the foundation that can support it. Trust me, this is what this window is all about. We are being called to examine anything that does not align with truth and integrity of who we know ourselves to be now. This is not to put the fear of God into you. This is not to scare you or to make you run and hide your head in the sand. On the contrary, this is to say that you are in a place, we are in a place, I am in a place where I am powerful enough and I have the resources available to me now at this point to deal with the shit that I haven't wanted to deal with. And part of that is dealing with $15,900 and, can't read it backwards, $52.62 in debt. It's time for me to get real, because if I don't do it now, then the shit that's coming for me and the success that it's on its way for me is going to begin to crumble around me when it shows up, and I don't want that. So I ask you today, what is it that you haven't been wanting to deal with, and when are you going to deal with it? Are you going to deal with it now, when you have the time, and we have this window up until the end of September? We've been given this sort of rest period. That's another reason why things seem to be moving really slowly, or you might be frustrated because you feel like action that you're taking isn't resulting in the immediate results that you were looking for. It's because you're being given this opportunity to audit, to edit, to re-inventory everything in your life and throw the shit out that isn't working anymore. Because trust me, you can do it. You can handle it. And if you don't feel like you can handle it or you can do it, call me and I'll help you. As always, I thank you for watching. It's time to get real and let's take care of our shit. Let's clean out the house together, because it's now or never. And I would much rather do it now than try to renegotiate everything once the big stuff that I've been working so diligently towards starts to manifest. And then it all starts to just become this whole shit show. I love you. Thank you as always for watching. Go to my website. You can find all my social media stuff there, thelightones.com, and book a session with me. I can help you. I know I can, even though you might think that my financial irresponsibility prevents me from helping you. Trust me, I know what it's like to be terrified of dealing with the circumstances of your life and not wanting to do it. But I know that you can. And if you don't feel you can do it alone, I can help you. I love you. Thanks as always for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.